morning everyone and thank you for joining today's webinar. Today we are presenting webinar on Are you ready? Bringing the gap between education and employment, organized by Applied Science and Humanities Department of Parul Polytechnic Institute, Parul University. In this webinar, we will be learning the most important employability skills which are needed for getting along with and working well with other people, such as communication skills and other interpersonal skills, being reliable and dependable, doing what you say, and turning up when you are meant to be there. I, Vaishali Nathwani, would like to introduce today's guest speaker, the career and personal branding coach, corporate trainer, and public speaker, Ms. Sonu Singh. She is proficient in training topics such as work-life balance, goal setting, body language, interview skills, emotional intelligence, and many more. She has also conducted image management programs like Art and Science of First Impression, Appearance Management, Etiquette Coaching, and many more. She has been awarded as the first runner-up in OIPSC organized by MS Talks India, and author Sherry, also recognized as an effective speaker on an expert panel discussion on transformation. Successfully completed webinars for other training organizations associated with two of the training organizations for corporate trainings, recognized by Zytus Cadelia as an efficient training coordinator. She is doing one-to-one consultation like image scope, knowing yourself, soft skill clinics, etc. Her mission is to create magnetic personalities who can achieve success in every threshold of their life through making impressive and lasting impressions in their journey through her group or individual training interventions. It's a privilege to welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Vaishali ji. That was really wonderful. I have never experienced such a nice welcome from any of my associations earlier. So that was really detailed, that was really researched, and I am heartfully grateful to Parul University for giving me this opportunity to come here and speak to you and your students. So when I talk about being, are you market ready, or when I talk about being career ready, or when I talk about, as students, you should be able to face the market as and when you just step out of your colleges. And I congratulate Parul University for investing in your learning. So neither they are investing in your knowledge-based or theory-based or the book-based learnings that they have as per the curriculum, but they are also investing, and they have utilized this, I think, pandemic time very wisely by creating such beautiful webinars. And I have seen so many webinars hosted by Parul University, very much enriching in terms of your growth, in terms of your knowledge and the practical exposure that it gives. So thank you so much. Thank you, every one of you, each one of you, starting from Mr. Hemal, Vaishali, the Parul University Polytechnic branch completely. Thank you so much for this wonderful, wonderful opportunity. Now, when I talk about career ready, okay, so when I talk about this topic, many students think, what is career ready? I mean, वो सवाल है दिमाग में कि career ready क्या होता है? Interview ready सुना है, job ready सुना है, but career ready क्या है? What is career ready? And why should you be ready for the market? Okay, now understand one thing. Before I start off with my presentation, you need to understand one simple concept that is called being ready for the market. Now, you are, since the beginning of your journey, of your learning journey, हम एक concepts पढ़ते हैं, ठीक है? हम concepts पढ़ते हैं, हम school जाते हैं. We are learning different concepts, we are learning different life lessons. But are we really applying it to become the person who we want to be? And when we become market ready or career ready, what does that mean? Means the market where you are going. So you might be going in the market to buy something. Okay, let me give you a very simple stuff. So as students, you go shopping, you go camping, you go hiking, you go on pub crawling, you go on restaurants, you go in hotels, you go everywhere. Now you go and do a research about the thing, right? So if you have to go and eat in a restaurant, you will find out on Zomato, you will find out on Swiggy, you will find out on 10 different places. How is that market? How is it doing? You know, what are the ratings? What is the best food available in that restaurant? And then you make a decision to go in that restaurant and have that food. Similarly is the scene with the market. So market like the job market, okay? So it's a market. You have to understand that the job market is a market and you are the product of that market. You are the product of that market who are getting ready to be there in the market and serve them. So you have to now start selling yourselves. And how do you sell? So if I say the job market, so if you want to apply in the IT market, now IT की company आपको क्यों उठाएगी? What is that one unique feature in you that the IT company which you are aiming that hires you should hire you? That is the question. Okay, and today I'm going to talk about a very important topic which is called bridging the gap between employment and education. There's a big, huge gap. There's a big, huge skill gap when it comes to freshers and, you know, young entrepreneurs, young professionals jumping in the job market and then not being able to cope up with them. एंड उससे क्या होता है कि एक गैप क्रिएट हो जाती है. तो ये एम्प्लॉयमेंट और एजुकेशन के बीच का जो गैप है, आज हम वो समझेंगे इस वेबिनार में. इट्स जस्ट द टिप ऑफ द आइसबर्ग. It's way deep inside. If I have to give you a gist of what is being career ready, why is this gap, how you can fill that gap, what are the gaps that you are having and you can fill up through your career transition or whatever phase of life you are going in, it takes a huge course. Okay, so don't think कि आपने आज एक webinar attend कर लिया and आप एकदम super smart और वो हो जाओगे कि आप एकदम job market के लिए ready हो जाओगे. ये एक tip of the iceberg है which gives you a thinking process. ये आपके दिमाग में एटलीस्ट एक ट्रिगर करेगी, एक कॉर्ड ट्रिगर करेगी कहीं ना कहीं to make you much more aware about what you should be working on. Okay, so thank you so much Hemal ji, thank you so much Vishali and Parvati University for such a fabulous webinar. And now I start just presenting my screen. Give me a minute. So welcome everyone. My name is Sonu Singh and I am a career and personal branding coach and an image enhancer and a co-founder of a bespoke facilitation center called Soulful Impressions. I am from Gurgaon, Delhi, but I hail from a city called Calcutta, born and brought up in there, grown up in Ahmedabad, worked in Bangalore and now in Delhi. So I have a whole lot of exposure to all different cultures and the work experience that I have gone through. This entire presentation depends on my personal experience. As an HR, as a HR influencer or as a HR marketing strategist, I can just tell you that this entire presentation is dependent on my professional experience and expertise that I have gained through 7 years of my work experience as an HR professional. So now let's start. So bridging the gap between education and employment. The first thing that I would like you all to think and ponder upon. Okay, so just think and ponder upon this statement made by none other than Mr. Albert Einstein, who does not know him. So he always told he was a dropout, he was a dyslexic, but then he learned through his life. He never learned through a formal education system, but he learned throughout his life. He learned through his experiences. He learned through whatever he has gained as an individual from whatever life has to teach him. And he made this statement which says that education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. So if you are fortunate enough to get educated, if you are fortunate enough to be in that education system, don't just mug up the facts and the books and the theories and the concept that have been teaching to you. Though the education system which we have tells us to do that, but still there is a scope. It's a choice that we make, that do we need to just mug up the concept or we really need to start thinking upon. So if you are learning in your university any subject, be it the technical subject, your core subject, your interest of subject, don't just learn the theory and the facts. Start applying it, start implementing it, and start making this your mind, the powerful tool that you have. Think. When you start thinking, you start applying. When you start applying, you start seeing the results. When you start seeing the results, you start experiencing what is going to happen. And when you start experiencing what is going to happen, then only learning happens. Okay? So always keep this in mind and always understand that whenever you sit in the class next time, let your mind think and not your mouth and heart just mug up it. Don't use your mind to mug up things. And if I have to quote Three Idiots, when Rancho says that knowledge हर जगह बट रहा है, बस जाके classroom में बैठ जाओ. So point ये है कि आप कहीं भी किसी भी सिर्फ अपने core subject से related ही चीजें मत पढ़िए. Try to expand your knowledge and learn from whatever and wherever you are gaining. And these webinars are, I think, a wonderful way of your learning and practical learning. Okay, let's get started. Now, a very simple activity that I would like you all to do, whoever is watching here on Facebook Live with me, I would like that just list down 3 differences. List down 3 differences between what is a campus and what is a corporate. I'll give you 60 seconds for it. Okay, I'll give you 60 seconds. List down 3 differences, 3 major differences between campus and corporate. Because fortunately, आप पढ़ाई क्यों कर रहे हो? At the end, why are you in this campus? At the end, why are you getting yourself educated? Because you need to be in one of the corporates that you desire to be or that you want to be, or you will get eventually. Okay, so just list down 3 main aspects which differentiates campus and corporate. I'll give you 60 seconds and your time starts now. Your time starts now. Why are you in this campus? At the end, why are you getting... Okay. Now, if anybody... Great. Now, when I have given you this, when your mind has started thinking of what is the difference between campus to corporate, the number one, my differences which I have mentioned in my trainings was, the biggest difference between campus and corporate is your mindset. Is the mindset that you have, okay, is the actions that you do and the reactions that you get. Confused? Now, first, why mindset? Mindset because there is a huge difference of mindset shift that you have to do when you have to move from a campus to a corporate. Now, actions. Now, in campus, your actions don't have a higher repercussions, but in corporate, every action that you take, every action that you do has a higher reaction or a reciprocation. ओके मतलब अगर आप कैंपस में कोई छोटी सी गलती भी कर देते हो ना, तो एटलीस्ट आपके प्रोफेसर्स, आपके टीचर्स, आपके peers, they are there to help you, support you, guide you. But if you do that same mistake in your corporate, there is less chance that you will be getting support, guidance, and a second chance. So that is the major difference. So your mindset, your actions, and the reactions that it produces. This you have to actually be very, very critical about when you start thinking about the difference between campus and corporate. Okay, next, let me share some astonishing facts with you. Okay, and these are not my facts, these are the facts that I have accumulated through important reports and all authorized places. So according to an ASCOM report, Indian universities produces on an average 5 million graduates every year. So every year, year on year, we are producing almost 5 million graduates, but only 20% of them are absorbed in various industry. And that is the biggest reason of us having so much of unemployment. Okay, and unemployable workforce is at the core of India's employment crisis, which is always the noise whenever there is some kind of debate regarding students and employment and political issues. But we are not here to discuss that. We are here to tell you that why it is so. Why is this big gap? कि 5 million students produce हो रहे हैं every year in university से, बस 20% gets absorbed. I mean, what is the reason? Let's see. So let me again share some stats with you. India will emerge as the youngest country with a median age of 29 years by 2025. We'll be the most populous, of course, by 2025. By that time, by 22, we will be needing around 700 million new skilled workers to get our economic growth needs. So there is no dearth of employment for the right candidate. Now, mark my word here, for the right candidate. And how you can become the right candidate comes ahead. Okay. Millennials, or the generation Y that you are in, so you all are the millennials, and generation Y will comprise of the 50% of the Indian workforce, and by 25 that will grow to 75%. So you have a huge, humongous opportunity. But according to that same report, according to that same SHRM report, it is said that the reality is less than 25% of MBAs, 20% of engineers, and 10% of all graduates in India are found to be employable. So whatever we are producing, whichever stream you are in, whatever you are doing, whatever you are pursuing, this is the hard reality that we have to go through as the Indian education system is producing and the job market is expecting. So there is a big, huge gap. As per my own experience of being 7 years in the hiring industry, in the recruitment industry, I have seen whenever I have hired from campuses, it's like 3 out of 10 students who join workforce leave the organization within 6 years, 6 months to 1 year of their career. Shocking. It is. And it is a huge cost to the company. It is a huge cost to the employer and also to the students. Okay. So this does not mean only the campus placement students. I mean, in general, the new workforce which comes up every year. So every year when a new workforce comes up in any company, 3 out of 10 students, they resign. And within a span of 1 year or 1.5 years maximum. Why it is so? Why is this statistic so hard? Because the transition from your campus or your education system to the corporate or the employment system, there lies a huge skill gap. There lies a huge gap, and this transition is generally not smooth. So whenever companies are hiring from the campuses, they do let undergo their students or their hires or their new employees a rigorous induction program or a campus to corporate training program or any kind of training that any good university, any good campus or corporate will give. Okay, so now I'm privileged that today campuses are realizing the importance of doing this campus to corporate transition in their campus, so that when they are hired in their corporates, it is a less tasking job for the corporate. But still, there are a lot of colleges, a lot of campuses who does not focus on this one major aspect of making this transition smooth. So whenever you are in campus and you have been learning, you know, if you're an MBA student, you have been learning marketing, accounts, finance, HR, human behavior, organizational behavior, and all those aspects. In the final year, you start learning your business communication, interview skills, presentation, all this falana dinka. But still, one thing which you don't learn in the campuses is what I had asked you to write, the difference, the mindset shift, the actions that you do, and the reactions that it generates. And this is what is taught in the corporate sector. So whenever you are hired from campus to corporate, you start learning all these aspects, how to change your mindset, what are the values that the campus have, what are the values that the corporate had, and what are your own values. So when you are aligned with these three things, when you are completely aligned with the corporate values, its mission, its vision, its mindset, its way of working, the corporate culture, it's then that you start working with them. And this almost takes around 6 months to 1 year time. And within that span, अगर कुछ भी आपके हिसाब से लगता है, and you know, कुछ भी आप और कंपनी में सूट नहीं हो रहा है, either the culture is not suiting you, the core values are not in line with your own core values, the belief of the company or your bosses are not in line with your beliefs, if your mindset is not in line with the corporate's mindset, that becomes a major reason to change. that becomes a major reason that people change companies. It's not that people are changing because they don't like the job, they don't like the work that are doing. It's majorly their mindset and values are not in align with what the corporate has to offer. Okay, now why this skill gap exists? First and foremost, technology advancements. So the kind of technology that the corporate uses, the campuses are not using those kind of technologies. So if you are entering into if you are entering into finance, okay. So my first job was into finance. I entered a bank from my campus. Now my campus has never taught me that I have to go and do some kind of if I get into finance kind of a profile, then I have to go and do some kind of a retail job or sales job or something like that. My majors was HR and minors was marketing, but still I got into sales job, and I completely failed. I completely failed in my sales job because my campus never taught me how to sell things. They only taught me the concept of selling. They only taught me the theories of selling. They only taught me the knowledge of selling. But was I actually selling anything? No, nothing. Right? So that is what becomes the major things. Now, technological advancements means now when you go into corporates, there are different technologies like SAP technology, there's the fintech technology, there are random technologies that are taken care by the corporates, which the corporates are acquiring and people are working on them. That is not happening in campuses. Education is struggling to keep up. As I told you, I was never told how to sell. I was always told what is selling, why it is important, what are the theories, what is the knowledge that you need to have. But boss, where was selling? I had never got that experience. That experience you only get when you are in that threshold, when you are in that on-the-job training. Lack of training, of course, and no defined strategy. So even not in the education system, in the corporate sector also, there is no defined strategy as to how they want this transition to happen in a cleaner way. Now, every industry has a very different approach towards this campus to corporate or market ready or training their new joinees. They have a very different approach. There is no defined strategy. There is no clear strategy that one strategy applies to all. It's not like that. And that is why the skill gap exists. So now what needs to change? So if you want this tag of being saying, hello, I am employable and you can hire me, what needs to change majorly? Okay. Things that you need to change right now from this day that you will be working on. Your mindset. Your mindset has to completely change from being a laid back person to being a more proactive person, to being more of experiential learning person than being only of education or theory learning person. Your perspective towards life, your perspective towards how you see your growth, your perspective towards how you live your life, okay, your way of doing things and the approach that you have in life. So you need to figure out these 4 important factors in your life. That needs to change if you want that tag that yes, I am employable and companies hire you like a hot cake. Okay, so whenever companies comes in your placements or in your campuses during the placement season, you should be ready that each and every company picks you up. You should be in a position to choose that, okay, I want this and not this. Okay, the choice should be with you, not with them. That is the way your interview should go. That is the way every candidate should be. And that is the way I want my all students to be, that they should be able to choose which company they want to go rather than just being forced and pulled inside a company that they don't want to work. So if you want to change if you want to go in a particular kind of a domain, if you want to go in a particular kind of an organization or a corporate or a sector, start changing these things. Start changing the way you think, and things will change soon. So number 1 thing which you right now need to do is stop focusing only on fancy degrees. I have seen students going haywire mad on Coursera, on edX, on Udemy, doing all different kinds of courses, buying all different kinds of study materials, And where is the hell time to read that? And what will you do with that, all that knowledge? What will you do? What will you do with that certificates? What will you do? Is it even applying in what you want to do? If you are actually knowing what you want to do, if you have that clarity कि आपको करना क्या है, then आप जाके वो degrees और वो certificates और वो courses और वो online classes आप कर रहे हो, it's well and good. But if you are just doing it because each and every one of them are doing it, stop it right now. I'll give you a harsh fact. Don't run behind fancy degrees, because the degree only can give you a job. So whatever degree you are having, whatever more certificates you will be adding to your profile, whatever more courses you will be doing, good enough. They can definitely give you the job. But can they teach you how to do that job? Think on it. Okay, give yourself that minute, think on it. Degrees only give you the job. I agree, they are important. But then how to do that job, degree don't teach you. My degree in marketing and HR definitely gave me a well-paying package during the recession period of 2008 and 9, a well-paying, high-paying package in a bank wherein I was doing selling. Selling was a course, selling was a part of my marketing journey. But did it ever tell me how to sell? How to do that job? That degree never taught me. And then what happened? After 6 months, I left it. As simple as it is. And that is my own experience that I'm sharing with you. 85% of your success at work is not due to your hard skills, but your people skills or your soft skills or your transferable skills, which are utilized everywhere. Now, your transferable skills, your soft skills, your people skills, these are the skills that is applicable to any industry, any job, any profile, any sector, any level, any position you are working in. But your hard skills are only limited to certain things. So if you are into computer engineering, your hard skill is only based into IT industry. But if you are good into soft skills, you can be good in any industry. It can be expanded to anywhere. So might be as an IT industry, as a hard skill, as a core skill of computers, you might be working into an IT industry and rising up the corporate ladder to become the CEO, CTO, whatever you want. You can be an entrepreneur starting off your own venture. You can be a consultant. You can be a coach. You can be anything. Right? So your hard skills can make you anything, but your soft skills will only determine your success. So stop running behind that degree and start focusing on things that are really important. Take the degrees, उतना ही डिग्री लीजिए जितना आपको आपकी मनचाही जॉब मिल जाए. ठीक है, उसके आगे आप जो भी करते हैं वो तभी करिए जब उस जॉब की वो रिक्वायरमेंट है या उस प्रोफाइल की वो रिक्वायरमेंट है. इसलिए मत करिए कि बाकी पूरी दुनिया कर रही है. पाइथन पूरी दुनिया कर रही है तो मुझे भी करना है, जरूरी नहीं है. You learn Excel, that is the most important skill that you will need in every day of your life. Python you might need, you might not need. AI intelligence, it's good to know. You can do that by researching and reading about it. You don't need to do a course. But then MS Excel, MS Office is the key, fundamental skill that you need when students lack that. When they enter corporates, they don't even know how to operate an Excel. They don't even know how to operate a presentation and a Word document. And that is frustrating for the corporate. Okay, so I will tell you what are the soft skills and transferable skills that you really need to work on. But be clear with this slide, crystal clear. Only do those degrees which will get you that dream job of yours. Don't do anything beyond. Until unless it's required, until unless it has anything enhancing your career. Okay, focus on what will give you more success. Focus on your employable skills. Now, when you sit in an interview, your core subject might get you 5% of the job, but 95% of the job will be based on how you communicate, how you have actually told your story, how you have taken up the interview, how you have presented yourself, how you have been sitting, your body language, every single thing. And let me show you how. Now, this is the latest data that I have got. I found it yesterday itself while researching through my topic. what employers are looking for in 2021 and beyond. Now, 2020 had taught us new ways of doing work. It has taught us how we can, change our work style, how we can actually move on to becoming more hybrid in work culture. And this is what the employers are looking forward to. So if you are going to be hired this year or the next year or the coming few years, focus on these skills. The top soft skill recruiters and hiring managers say they are looking for. The number one being teamwork. It has always been the number one soft skill that people look for when you are entering in corporate, because understand, as a student, it might be a one-person game. But as a corporate professional, it's never a one-person game. Even if you are in an individual role, अगर आप एक individual role पे भी काम कर रहे हैं, तो भी वो एक बंदे का काम नहीं होता है. It's a culmination of different teams, different departments, different people that you interact, and you have to have that teamwork skills or team building skills or collaboration skills inside you. So the number one is teamwork. Then comes your communication. Communication is now not a soft skill. It's not a soft skill at all. For us, for me, for you, for everyone, for even for a 5-year-old kid, it is the most powerful tool. If you can communicate well, you have half the job done. Okay. Third is your time management. Fourth is your problem solving. And finally, it's your creativity, and then many more, which I'm going to talk to you right now. This is a recent study conducted by Zeti. So you can just go and search for this. If you want to get this data, you can go and search for it. Okay. Now, the first and foremost thing that people are looking forward to is your conceptual clarity. Whatever you are studying, whatever you're doing, whatever hard skills you have, you should have very clear, you should be very clear conceptually, okay? Nobody is asking you to mug up anything, but concept should be very clear in your mind. Intermediate Microsoft efficiency. If you are a student listening to me right now, कहीं पे भी सुन रहे हो, आप बाद में सुनोगे या कभी भी सुनोगे, please इसकी mastery कर लीजिए. आप इसकी मास्टरी कर लीजिए, आप इंटरमीडिएट एटलीस्ट कर लीजिए, ताकि ये आपकी लाइफ में बहुत काम आने वाला है. टिल डेट आई हैव बीन यूजिंग इट एंड इट्स वंडर्स. Okay, it's wonders, and it helps you grow in the corporate ladder. Like, so people will notice you because of your skills. Okay. Exhibiting professionalism, you have to exhibit professionalism. Now, professionalism does not mean just arriving on time and doing your work on time. Professionalism has got a lot more into it. Being authentic, being appropriate, being having right values, having the right integrity, being a collaborator, everything comes into professionalism. You should have a professional behavior when you are in the corporate world, and even when you are in the campus world. It's no different. Start building that professional behavior from your corporate life, campus life, so that it goes ahead in your corporate. In one day, you can't become that. Okay, so if you are a very laid back kind of a student right now, in one day you cannot become a proactive person. It will take time. So start inculcating these behaviors starting from now on. Out of the box thinking, having flexibility. Nowadays, the time is nobody looks for problems and solutions. They want out of the box thinking, something very different, because everyone is doing the same thing. So if you can really, now great people don't do different things. They just do things differently. I think you have heard of this quote, and that is what out of the box thinking means. It does not mean that आप कुछ एकदम जादू कर दीजिए, magic कर दीजिए, नहीं. Same चीज करिए जो सब कर रहे हैं, but differently करिए. Okay, having flexibility, 2020 has taught us that we can work from anywhere, everywhere, and we can collaborate. So you should have the flexibility of working from anywhere, anytime, anything. Just have the flexibility. Be open to work on flexible hours. Problem solving ability, which I had already showed you. Willingness to learn. Be a lifelong learner. Learning has no boundaries. Learning has no age. You can learn even at the age of 50. You can learn even at the age of 5. So if you think कि मैंने बस campus कर लिया है, मैंने ये सारे subjects पढ़ लिए and I know everything, I am the master. No, you are not. You are just at the iceberg. You are just at that tip. You are just at somewhere like where thousands of people are. How it makes you different. You have the same degree which thousands other students have. You have the same persona which thousand other students have. What defines you unique? That is what you need to understand. And a positive attitude. Now understand, knowledge, skill, attitude. The KASA, KSA. Write it down. Knowledge, skill, and attitude. Knowledge can be gained from anywhere. Skills can be learned. But attitude is something that you are born with. Attitude is something that you have inherited. You cannot change your attitude easily. Okay, so always try to behave and have a positive attitude, because the last thing that a corporate can have is a negative attitude person who will spoil the entire culture, which they don't want. So, they can do with people who have less knowledge, they can do with people who have less skill, but they can't do with people who have a negative attitude towards life and the kind of work that they do. Okay, so take a screenshot of this slide, keep it with you, and start working on these skills. They are just the few that I have named, many more are coming ahead. The third thing is communication. Communicate effectively, and as I told you, communication is now not a soft skill. It's not even a hard skill. It's a power skill. Okay, communication is not a hard skill or a soft skill, it's a power skill, because it has the power to change the world. If you can communicate effectively, you can get your work done much more effectively. And what are the essentials of communication? It's not only your talking. If you think that the way you talk is your communication skill, hi-fi English aati hai aapko, or you can speak in faster English language, you can speak foreign languages, damn it. That is not what communication is. Communication is a two-way channel. First and foremost, understand this very clearly. Communication is a two-way channel. There is a sender and there is a receiver. So when you send something to the receiver also has to send you something. When this channel gets complete, when the circuit gets complete, then only communication has happened. So that means if you have sent a message to a receiver and the receiver has not reciprocated or given you feedback, that means communication has not happened, and then that all facade of miscommunication and intent not being proper and hidden communication and all sorts of words comes up in mind. Great. So what are the skills that you need to have? First and foremost is your listening skills. Are you listening well? Whatever I have spoken till now, have you actually listened well? Don't focus on my words, but just focus on the things that I'm trying to convey to you through my emotion, through my voice, through my body language, everything, the undertone of my words. Okay, so listen effectively. Friendly behavior, your open-mindedness. Now, you say I am a person who listens well, but do you listen with a bias or do you listen with an open mind? That is the thing that you need to focus on. Feedbacks or feed forwards. Do not hesitate to give a feedback and do not hesitate to receive a feedback, because feedbacks are actually the core of how you can improve on anything. Why do we look for feedback? Or why do your campus looks for feedback? Or why do your teachers looks for feedback? Never hesitate to ask for a feedback. Never hesitate to give a feedback. And feedback does not mean only criticism, or feedback does not mean only praises. Feedback means constructive feedback, wherein you tell them what is the praises that you have, what are the good things that they have done. You also tell them what are the things that they can improve, but finally quote it with the praise that you can do. That is called the sandwich method of giving feedback. So praise first, areas of improvement, and again praise. That is how you give your feedback, and that is what the essence of feedback means. Now, if the person is doing really well and you don't have anything of areas of improvement, just simply praise them. And as a receiver, you just bow your head and say thank you. That's it. I hope that is clear, and if anything, is there any question? You all can ask me any question that you have. Just put it up in the chat box, message box. I can take it up from any of one of your coordinators. Okay. Confidence of being able to validate yourself and say that I am the best. You don't need anybody else to say that. Get internal validation rather than external validation, and focus on your non-verbal communication more than what your words are saying. Your body, your eyes, your smile, your body, your hands, your legs, your facial expressions, everything speaks. Okay, so focus on that. So these are the key elements that you need to focus on when you have to communicate effectively. Your words only form 7% of the factor, okay? Rest 93% is your visual communication that you're doing. Focus on that. Take ownership of your work. As a new recruit, as a new recruit in the campus or as a new recruit in the corporate, start taking ownership of whatever you are doing, or whatever role you are doing, or whatever organization you are working with. Start taking ownership. If you start taking ownership, it builds trust. When you start building trust, it makes you more accountable. When it makes you more accountable, you start taking more responsibility of the things that you are doing and the things that you are responsible for, and it indirectly builds confidence in you. Once you start taking the ownership of your work, it indirectly builds confidence in you, and it indirectly builds confidence of others on you too. But that does not mean that you keep on taking more and more responsibility, which is much more beyond your plate. That is not the case that I'm trying to tell here. What I'm trying to tell here is when you start taking your account, when you start becoming accountable of your work, you know what you can do correctly, what you can't do. And that is being accountable, that what you can do and what you can't do, and be responsible for things that you can, and what you can't do, please start saying no to it. Don't fill your plate just because you can do everything. Nobody can do everything. Everyone can do everything, but everyone cannot do everything. Confused? Okay, so you are capable of doing anything. Okay, as a human being, we all are capable of doing anything, but we are not capable of doing everything in this world. That is the key that you need to focus on. A multitasker. Everyone enjoys a multitasker who can do one thing at one given point. You can do 10 different things. Everyone enjoys being that. Every corporate likes a person who can do this, but then you also have to draw a barrier as to how much you can multitask. If you can at one point multitask 3 things, 4 things, well and good. But if it's going beyond your limits, stop that. Develop a personal brand. What makes you unique? It's very, very important. And I know you all have undergone a webinar on personal branding, so I'll not go deep dive into it. But what I'm going to tell you is very unique, okay? Now, what does brands have? When I talk about building brands, what does brands have? So brands have a name, they have a logo, they have a color, they have a shape, size, packaging, value, USP, benefit, vision, and worth. You too. Every single person sitting here in this room are also a brand. I am a brand, you are a brand, the college is a brand, all your professors are brand, all your peers are brands, everyone is a brand. Now it all depends on how you take you up as a brand. Do you take up as a generic brand, or you do take you up as a very, very productive brand, or a very branded kind of a brand, okay? Now, there is jeans designed by Levi's, there is jeans designed by even top-notch brand, high-class Gap, there is a jeans designed by Prada, there is jeans. So everybody has a jeans, but everybody has something very unique. Similarly, you all are brands sitting here in the campus. You all have a name, you all have a logo, you all have a color, you all have a shape, size, you all have your own packaging, that is your appearance, your value system. You all have a unique selling proposition about yourself. You all have your own benefits, you all have your own vision and your worth. It's all you start identifying it. When you start identifying it, you will see that you all are small, small brands built in this pocket, and you all can excel in this world. Okay, so don't think that only Shah Rukh Khan is a brand, or only Virat Kohli is a brand. They have become a brand because they have captured, they have captioned that thing for themselves. You as a single student simply sitting in one university can also become a brand. It all depends on how you see yourself and how you value yourself. So how to define my personal brand? Very simple 5-step question that I'm going to give you. You can take a screenshot of this slide and you can answer these questions for yourself. So what are your core values? What are your strengths? What are the skills you have acquired? The first set of questions that you need to answer. And when you answer this question, always remember to be very precise and remember to be very, very, authentic about it. Be honest. The second set of questions is what inspires you the most and what keeps you going? Why are you different from anyone of your own age? So if there are 300, 600 people who are 20s, in their 20s, how are you different? They all are 20s, they all have the same education, they all have the same background, they all come from a good family, they all have the same marks. Why are you different? Who are you? Right? What obstacles have you faced and how have you overcome that? And what is your ultimate aim? Now, that does not mean you have to write down a 10-year plan, but a vision board that you need to prepare for yourself. And where do you see yourself growing from now? So these are the questions that you need to answer for yourself when you have to start defining your personal brand. Simple questions, simple answers, just be honest and authentic. That will give you the right answer. Manage your image. Now, the way you look is the way you feel, is the way you act, and is the way you become. Now, if I have to feel that I am a trainer, I'm a career branding coach, I have this much of experience, I have to first start looking like that. If I sit here in my jeans and a tee, you will not feel I'm a career branding coach. You will not feel I'm a public speaker. You will not feel the way by my looks, right? You will not feel anything and you will think I'm just wasting my time sitting here listening to this lady. Correct? So when I look my part, I feel that, I act that, and then I become that, and that is how I manage my image, and that is how you also need to manage it. So if you want that you should be a brand, start looking, feeling, acting, and becoming like a brand. Then only you can start becoming like that. Then only companies and corporates who comes to your placement will start identifying you as a brand. Okay? And how do you do it? The simple 4-step formula: your clothing, your grooming, your vocal communication, and your body language. Apart from anything, before your knowledge speaks, your visual presence speaks. Okay? So if you want that people should take notice of you, if you want that people should come to you and ask you, if you want that people should look forward to meeting to you, manage this image with these 4 simple techniques. It's very simple, it's very vain, but then it's the most critical thing that you forget. Network well. Now, network well, I mean not networking with your friends and family, but network with people who are not like you, who don't have that education like you, who don't have that upbringing like you, who are not from your domain or stream, who are not from the same subject, who are not from your same country, who are not from the same place. We get into that very easy kind of comfort zone ki nahi, ye to meri jagah ka hai, ye to meri society ka hai, ya to meri gaon ka hai, ye meri shehar ka hai, so let me network with them. Don't do that. That will not give you growth. That will not give you a perspective change. That will not grow your network. That is only being networking in the same kind of people. That will only give you friends and family. They will not be your influential network. So if you have to really network and if you have to really grow yourself and change your perspective, start networking with people who are definitely not like you in any sense. That will give you a perspective change. Keep the skilling mode on. Every time, get into a new experience, get a new ability, get a new course, get a new knowledge, get a new competency. Your skilling mode should not stop. Every time you learn something, that is why it is told having an openness to learn is very, very important. So you have to keep yourself learning. You have to learn, unlearn, and again learn. Okay, so a foolish person, this is a saying which goes that an uneducated person in today's world is not the one who cannot read and write. Take it. An uneducated person in today's world is not the one who cannot read and write, but is the one who cannot learn, unlearn, and learn again. So if you can learn something, but again unlearn it completely and again learn something new, that is the way you will become educated. That is the day you will become a lifelong learner. So thank you so much. It was wonderful speaking to you all, and I hope I could ignite some kind of fire inside you to make yourself a brand and start working on your career branding and start, filling up this gap between education and employment. I would ask the universities also. I always pledge the universities, start filling up this gap. Start making the students realize these skills that they need to really learn rather than only just learning their course curriculum. So always remember, people don't buy what you do, they actually buy why you do. Said by Simon Sinek. And find the reason, why are you doing it? Okay. Thank you so much. I'm open for questions. It was wonderful meeting you all, talking to you all, whoever will be listening to me right now. If you have any question, I am here to take it up. Thank you so much. These are my credentials. If anybody would like to follow me on any social media, you can do that. In the name of Soulful Impression, I'm available on all the social media platforms. Thank you so much. And this, I'll stop the screen share.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Vaishali ma'am. That was really wonderful. And I hope my session could add a little bit of insight to your students and your faculty as well. So if there are any questions, please do let me know.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for this beautiful session.
My pleasure, ma'am. My pleasure.
Yes, absolutely, ma'am. Yes. It was. It will be beneficial to faculties and students both, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I would request the faculties also.
And the KSK concert was very good.
Yes, that is the thing. See, we all work on.
So some of questions have arrived to us, ma'am.
Yeah, please.
Is communication skills important for success at the workplace, and how can we work on it?
As I told you in my presentation also, communication skill is now not just a skill, okay? It's not a skill, it's a powerful tool. If you can communicate well, your half of the things are already done. जिंदगी में सारी प्रॉब्लम शुरू इसलिए होती है कि हम बोल नहीं सकते या हम कम्युनिकेट नहीं कर सकते या हम जो बोलने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं वो चीज बंदे को समझ में नहीं आती है. As simple as it is. And in corporate, it's a way complex culture. Okay, I'll tell you from my own experience. When you are in campus, there's a direct interaction between your teachers and your peers. And in the campus culture, communication is not tough. हम कुछ भी बोल देते हैं, सामने वाला उतना वो नहीं करता है. हम अपने टीचर्स को भी कुछ भी बोलते हैं, they understand. In corporates, nobody understands. Okay, there's no second chance if you have actually spoken something which you should not have. There's no second chance if you are not able to get your message clear, and there is no second chance if whatever you're trying to tell to people, they don't understand, because there is a cost. Everything that you say, your project is a cost, your growth is a cost, your promotion gets hindered, everything gets hindered because you are not able to communicate what you want to say. And as I told you, for an effective communication, it's not about what you speak, but how much do you listen. So your listening skill should be at very high. You should be a good listener. You should be a listener with an unbiased approach. So always keep an open mind when you are listening to people, when you are listening what your bosses are saying, when you are listening to what our peers are saying and what they expect from you. Half of the time there is a miscommunication because your boss says, "हाँ ये कर देना," and you think करना क्या है, right? So उसमें आधी आपकी communication problem हो जाती है. The third thing which comes up is asking the right question. Now, don't go every time and ask foolish questions to your boss, because campuses mein to your teachers will tell you, come and ask me any foolish question, I'll answer. In corporates, that's nahi hota hai. So always learn the art of asking the right question. When you can ask the right question, you will get the right answer from your bosses and the corporates, and that will help you in your success path. I hope if you do these three things, listen well, listen with an open mind, and ask the right question. Do these three things and you will see how much success comes to you. Ma'am, you're not audible to me. Ma'am, if there is a problem in the communication, you can just write me in the chat box. I can take the question from there also. That does attitude lead to ego? Okay. Now, there's a very misconception that attitude is equal to ego. They are two very different things. Okay. Don't confuse attitude and ego together.
And second one is, does attitude lead to ego?
Yeah, I got the question, ma'am. I got the question. Okay. Now, attitude is something which you actually...
Does attitude leads to ego?
Yeah, ma'am. I got the question. I got the question. Okay, so as I told you, attitude and ego are two different things. Ego talks about I. Attitude is not about I. Having a positive attitude means you look towards life in a positive frame of mind, wherein you want to take people along. And when I talked about knowledge, skill, and attitude, over there, when I meant by attitude is how you gel along with people, how you actually bring people and work together. There is nothing called I in that. Okay, ego leads to I. Ego always leads to saying I am everything, I am something. So this is what ego leads to, but attitude is never equal to ego. And having an attitude means it's not about showing off. When you start showing off your attitude, that leads to ego. But if you don't show off your attitude, but you live, breathe that positive attitude. So what do I mean by positive attitude? You have in any negative situation, you see the positive side of it. You analyze the situation well before you give any reason. You take team people along with you, and then go ahead. That is again your attitude, which corporates look forward to. They don't look forward to an egoistic person. They look forward to a positive attitude person.
Okay, ma'am. And is multitasking beneficial at workplace, ma'am?
At workplace, it is. Definitely it is. It will help you grow the corporate ladder. My experience says that. And multitasking is actually needed, be it in your campus life or in your corporate life, because multitasking opens up your brain. Okay, now when you're multitasking, your brain is actually working thrice its capacity. But then multitasking should not lead to overtasking yourself. There's a difference between multitasking and overtasking. Multitask only those things which you can have a control on. Now, what happens when you start multitasking people? You give the perception to people. You start sending messages that I can do everything. I can take up all kind of work. I can take up everything on my plate. And that comes onto your plate. Now, along with multitasking, what you need to start learning is productive multitasking. It's not about multitasking, but it's about productive multitasking. Means taking up things which you can actually do and saying no to things which are not related to you. It does not mean that if you can do everything, you start saying yes to everything. You should know your capabilities, you should know your potential, you should know your limits, you should know that what you are good at and what you are not good at. And depending on that, take up the job. Don't take up everything that comes your way just because you have to go and please your boss, just because you have to go and please your peer, just because you have to go and please your professors. So in a campus life, when you are given this teamwork and team presentations, there will always be in the 5-member team, only one person who is doing all the work. The second might be doing 40-50%. the third does nothing, the fourth only gives gyan, and the fifth sleeps. Okay, so these are the kind of students you will find in any team in a campus. Same happens in the corporate. But then in the corporate, you have to start saying no, because if you only start doing everything and the last person starts sleeping, what he will do is he will just go and do grapevine. He will just go and talk to the bosses and influence it. You should not be doing that. In fact, you should be smart enough as a team player to give equal opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah, to give equal opportunity to everyone, and then take up that credit of or take up that onus and ownership and accountability of the work that has been given to you. So don't fill your plate, don't overfill it. Don't overfill your plate. Okay, so that is how you can actually balance. So start doing productive multitasking.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. We have ended with our question answer session. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
giving
much.
us your valuable time.
Thank you so much, Vishali. That was really nice. I really am humbled, and it's my heartfelt gratitude that Parul University is doing such great job. And with all these webinars, I'm sure your students would be benefiting a lot.
I would like Professor Jatin Vaidya sir, and Academic Director Dr. Mahesh Bhatt sir, the President of our university Dr. Devanshu Patel sir, for supporting and motivating us continuously. Thank you so much, ma'am, for
Thank you
joining
so
us.
much. Have a great day. Stay safe.